So today we're doing something a little bit different. We're off on a trip, but instead of taking the Jeep, we're taking this.
This is Jamo 50, Neal's road train, a Mack Titan usually hauling a set of quad side tipping trailers, carting iron ore from mine to port for exportation. Today, however, we're off to Bruce Rock to pick up a new set of trailers. This trip will take us 1,600 kilometres south along the Great Northern Highway, the only highway connecting the southern and northern parts of Western Australia that is open to road trains. Before long, we are packed with supplies for the 4-day round trip and on our way south out of town. While there are a couple of towns along the way, it's best to be self-sufficient as we're on a tight schedule and can't be sure that food and water will be available when we need it. Without the usual trailers on, we are light enough to easily pass other trucks heading down the mines. We get a lot of comments from Neal's colleagues teasing us that we've forgotten our trailers. It's really nice to see the camaraderie amongst drivers on this desolate piece of road. While Neal passes this way every day at work, it's the first time I'm experiencing this trip in the passenger seat of a truck. Mining regulations are incredibly strict about who can access both the mine and the port, and seeing we won't be going to either, this is a good opportunity to go for a ride in his truck. Neal points out landmarks and places of interest along the way. This here is part of a lithium mine, providing the raw materials for items such as rechargeable batteries. The explosion of demand in lithium, which is expected to reach 3 million tonnes by 2030, it's expected that this mine, when operational, will become the second largest producing hard rock lithium mine in the world, with an estimated 640,000 to 680,000 tonnes per annum. There's been a bit of rain about and it's nice to see some water in the usually dry riverbeds. It takes us almost 3 hours to reach the first sign of civilization other than the mines, when we arrive at Oski Mungina village, known to the outback truckies simply as Oski. The complex is a roadhouse with fuel, accommodation, camping, and the only real bathroom facilities between here and Headland, not including long drops. It's a good place for a break. We like to support these remote businesses by purchasing a drink or snack by way of payment for facility usage. Yes, the prices may be higher than in the suburbs, but when you look at what goes into providing this lifeline business, I think it's the least we can do. Back out on the road and we start to climb up through the spectacular Mungina Gorge. From here on south, the scenery becomes more diverse. This time I have managed to catch the old man in the rocky cliffs, as well as a quick glimpse of the whale tail. We soon catch up with some oversized loads, a common sight in this part of the country. In Western Australia, these loads can travel during daylight hours only, making them a lot easier to spot. It's a really good idea to have a CB radio tuned to channel 40 so you can hear what's going on and be able to respond to instructions. The pilot vehicle will announce the load size over the radio to oncoming traffic. Often the lead pilot vehicle will move across into the oncoming traffic lane, making it easier for the road trains to pass the slow-moving load when it's safe to do so. From what I've seen, the oversized loads can be divided into roughly 3 groups. There are those which fit easily into their own lane, they have flashing lights and an oversized sign, but don't have a pilot vehicle. With these loads, you don't really have to do much other than be aware that they may be close to the midline, especially on corners. The next size up is about 5.5 metres and usually have a pilot vehicle with flashing lights driving ahead of them. This size may overlap into your lane a little, so you'll probably need to move over onto the shoulder of the road and slow down until you're past. The final size is about 8.5 metres wide and usually has 2 lead pilot vehicles and 1 trailing pilot vehicle. You don't often see the load when you meet the first pilot. They are usually a long way ahead of the load, clearing the road of traffic. For this type of load, you have to get off the road, whether you're a 150 tonne road train or a backpacker van. The pilot will herd you off the road if they see you fail to follow their instructions, as many startled backpackers have noticed. At up to 8.5 metres wide, you can see there is only room for one vehicle on the road at any time. Sometimes they will stop traffic to get these heavy vehicles across bridges so as not to exceed the bridge's weight limit, so it's a good idea to pay attention. The loaded trucks are usually travelling north, with the empty trailers mostly being southbound. But like that first load we saw, that's not always the case. But don't stress, they usually travel slower than the other traffic, and if you want to avoid them, they aren't usually seen on the coast road. As we pass one Mana mine, we say goodbye to the other quads who only come this far. The traffic gets noticeably quieter heading towards Newman. At the end of a very long day, we reach our accommodation for the night, the executive suite at the Q Roadhouse and Motel. For this trip, we won't be staying in the truck as it's a bit of a squeeze for two, and with evening temperatures only dropping to the plus 30 degrees Celsius, it would be too hot. The following day, after a trucky breakfast of champions, the truck gets another polish before we head off. Neal's truck was chosen for this trip because of how well it's looked after. The plan is to meet up with some professional photographers from Mac to get some shots of the truck with the new trailers. Already Neal and his shift partner were up all night polishing Jamo 50 to within an inch of its life before our departure, and with almost 1,700 kilometres of desert to pass through, it's going to be hard to keep it clean. We stop at the road train assembly area at Woburn as Neal wants to check out the lay of the land for hitching up the second set of trailers. Woburn is the termination point for road trains going into the city of Perth, and the road train assembly area is where the road trains can be broken up so their cargo can be taken into the city as a smaller load. Here the road trains are then reassembled once reloaded and ready for the next destination. We're surprised to see that the rear two trailers have already been dropped off. Look how sparkly they are. I don't think that'll last long. Even though we're picking up empty trailers, road trains are not permitted on the section of road between Woburn and Bruce Rock, so we can only bring 2 of the 4 trailers back with us. We need another truck to drop off the remaining 2 trailers at the assembly area, where we'll hitch them up ready for our return journey north. It's a bit complicated. We fill up with fuel before hitching up the trailers, as it's a lot easier navigating fuel stations without 4 trailers on. Jamo 50 is a bit thirsty. Just as the sun sets, we arrive in Bruce Rock to some pretty handy accommodation. We notice how chilly the air is and realise we've not brought warm clothing with us. I actually can't remember the last time I needed to wear a jumper in the Pilbara, but even in December, Bruce Rock dips to a fresh 20 degrees Celsius overnight. In the early hours of the 3rd day, we make our way to Bruce Rock Engineering to hitch up the first 2 trailers. It's a pretty big company and we're not the only ones picking up trailers today. So it is hookup day for the trailers today. We're in Bruce Rock, at Bruce Rock, and we are picking up 2 trailers here. We can only take 2 at a time because the rating on the road around here means you can only take 2 out at a time.
so can't take a full road train in here. So we're going north to a little town called Woburn, which is where the road train route starts from, and we're going to pick up the last two up there, which is the ones that we saw on the way through yesterday. So we're just waiting around to get all the hydraulics and things adjusted for the truck. At least I think that's what they're doing. They seem to know what's going on. Yeah, so lots of tweaking and adjusting going on, and then yeah, I guess we'll be off. So it looks like a pretty big operation here. There's trailers all over the place, and none of them seem to be single. Most of them seem to be either half of a road train or at least a couple of trailers together, which I think is still a road train depending on how long the trailers are. Could be a B double. So there's a paddock across the road that's got a whole heap in them, and then there's the yard where we're picking up our ones from that seem to be the ones that are ready to go. At the moment they look like they're doing a couple of tweaks just to put the spare tyre from the truck onto the trailers, because there's nowhere for it to go. It was sitting on the back of the truck, and we need that off there to put the trailers on now. So they're a bit bigger than the ones for the trailers, so they can't go into the trailer tyre holder thingy. So they're tweaking that. I think I've just missed Nearly backing on, so better go film that.
Keeping Neal awake all night was what to do with his spare tyre from the truck. Typically it stays in the bracket on Jamo 50's normal trailers, but without them he has popped it on near the tow hitch. There's probably a better word for that, but you get the picture. The problem is that with the new trailers hitched, it has to be moved, and the new trailers don't have the right brackets for this size tyre. Luckily Bruce Rock has a forklift to pop it into one of the trailers, which gives a preview of part of the side tipping mechanism. Hopefully we won't get a flat on the way home, as there needs to be some modifications made to the controls to fit the fleet trucks, and until then it's a bit of a mission to get it back out again. As you can see, the trailer hasn't fully tipped, as this would mean the tyre would just fall out again, but it gives you an idea of how it works.
Better go hop in.
With the first two trailers hitched, we retrace our steps back to the road train assembly area at Woburn, with a cheeky coffee stop along the way. We back off when we get to the dirt road so as to remain clean and shiny for those photos. It's amazing just how clean Jamo 50 is after 2,000 kilometres, even with Neal's daily detailing efforts.
We're back at Woburn at the road train assembly area where the following two trailers are that we're going to hitch up, so trailer 3 and 4, and we just found the bloke from Bruce Rock who's going to help lift the third trailer onto the back of the second trailer. So he's got some, he said, a block and tackle or something that's going to actually have to crane it up almost, because it's just so big, so heavy, you can't do it by any other means. So that'll be interesting to watch. Neal's just gone to find out what the deal is, and yeah, we'll get out there and get all hooked up.
If you're into truck spotting, then I can recommend coming to Woburn Road Train Assembly Area. It's huge, and there's always someone coming or going, or many all at once. It's almost like a huge truck ballet. We soon discover that Jamo 50's call sign doesn't fit, so we're going to have to go incognito. There are a few modifications that will have to be made to the trailers before they'll be put to work. It turns out that someone has parked the trailers in the way of our new ones, so old mate with the block truck has to do some rearranging and go to find a spot with plenty of room to add on the third and fourth trailers. The block truck brings around the trailers and then lines them up as close as he can to make Neal's job a bit easier. The hitch is then winched or ratcheted up so that Neal can back in underneath. And with the block truck out of the way, Neal backs up under the trailers and is pretty close with under a foot of sideways correction needed. Old mate with his block truck is able to move the trailers sideways by anchoring off his truck. Just like that, we're hitched up and ready to hit the long road north. We get news that the photo shoot is off, and so we head off ourselves. Luckily we bought the drone, so find a couple of places along the way to take our own photos, which turn out so well that Neal gets a couple blown up for the office and his shift partner. Can't let all that shine go to waste now. The roadhouse at Payne's Find makes for a great spot as there's ample of space to park. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I hope you found this episode of Trucking in the Pilbara interesting. Stay tuned for more videos as we travel throughout Western Australia back in our Jeep looking for all the best places to go paddleboarding. In the meantime, check out our Western Australian playlist here. Make sure to like and subscribe so you're the first to know when the latest video is released, and if you like this video, let us know in the comments below if I should change the channel from SUP Chick to Truck Chick. Just kidding, that won't be happening. See you next time.